Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Barry, the dog who saved 40 lives. High above Geneva, the Alps rise like a white wall. The snow up there never fully melts. The wind howls without stopping. Long ago, travelers had one way to cross from Switzerland into Italy. They had to walk a narrow, icy path called the Great St. Bernard Pass. It sat 8,000 feet above the seas. Snow arrived in October and did not leave until June. Merchants carried heavy packs. Pilgrims walked slowly toward Rome. Soldiers marched in long, cold lines. Sometimes a traveler slipped and vanished into the white. Around 1050, a holy man named Bernard climbed to the top of the pass. His full name was Bernard of Menthon. He saw how dangerous it was. He saw tired people with nowhere to rest. "We will build a house here," he said, "a place of warmth and bread." And so the monks built the Great St. Bernard Hospice, a low stone building tucked into the rock. For hundreds of years, the monks walked into every storm with lanterns and ropes. They were brave, but they were slow. Then, around 1660, they found a better helper. They brought dog. These were no ordinary dogs. They were enormous, nearly as tall as a child's shoulder. Their paws were wide and flat like paddles, so they walked on snow instead of sinking into it. Their coats were thick and two-colored, white like the slopes, deep red like old roof tiles. But their best gift was their noses. A St. Bernard can smell a person buried under 2 meters of snow. The monks discovered this one winter afternoon. A dog named Anton suddenly stopped eating his dinner. He lifted his big head, his nostrils moved slowly. He walked to the hospice door and scratched it with one great paw. A monk opened the door. Anton bolted out into the snow. The monks grabbed their coats and followed Anton and ran straight to a patch of flat white that looked just like every other patch. He began to dig. Under the snow, a merchant lay curled up and very cold. He was alive. From that day on, the monks let the dogs lead every search. When a dog found someone lost in the snow, it lay down beside them, a warm, heavy body against the frozen ground. That warmth kept many travelers alive until help arrived. No barrel, no brandy, just a beating heart and thick warm fur. The most famous of all the hospice dogs was named Barry. He lived at the pass from around 1800 to 1814. He was very big, even for a St. Bernard. His white and red coat was soft as a wool blanket. When he walked through the hospice corridor, his tail swept the stone floor slowly. Brother Louis saved Barry the crusty end of his bread every single morning. For our best searcher, he always said Barry worked for 12 years at the pass. In those 12 years, he found more than 40 people buried in the snow. On one winter night in 1804, a fierce blizzard hit the pass. No stars, no moon, only white noise and cold darkness. Brother Thomas went to check the kennel. Barry's spot was empty. "He's already out there," Thomas said. Pulling on his coat, the monks grabbed their lanterns and followed Barry's great paw prints into the dark. The wind screamed. The snow stung their faces. Then Brother Thomas held up his lantern and stopped. There was Barry, lying flat in the snow, pressed against a small white mound. Under that mound, a young traveler lay trembling in the cold. Barry had found him by smell alone. Then he had lain down on top of the snow above the boy. His great warm body kept the cold from pressing deeper. When the monks arrived, Barry stood and shook the snow from his fur. He looked at Brother Thomas with soft brown eyes. "Good work, old friend." Thomas whispered. Barry wagged his tail once, then he turned and walked back toward the hospice. Now here's the strangest part of Barry's story. He never wore a barrel. No St. Bernard at the hospice ever carried one. But today, pictures of St. Bernards almost always show a small wooden keg hanging from the collar. Where did that come from? In 1820, a young British artist named Edwin Landseer sat in his studio in London. Edwin was only 17 years old. He had heard the stories of the Alpine rescue dogs and wanted to paint them. He imagined the cold. He imagined a traveler fallen in the snow. He imagined a great shaggy dog standing watch. Then Edwin thought, my painting needs one more thing, something no one will ever forget. He dipped his brush in brown paint. He painted a small wooden barrel hanging from the dog's collar. A barrel of brandy, Edwin said softly, to warm a frozen traveler from the inside. He called his painting Alpine Mastiffs, reanimating a distressed traveler. People across Europe loved it. Copies appeared on postcards, in books, and shop windows. Soon, nearly everyone believes St. Bernards had always carried brandy barrels. Far up in the stone hospice, the monks shook their heads. "Our dogs never carried anything around their necks." An old monk wrote in his journal, "Their bodies were their only gift." But the barrel image was too charming to stop. Edwin Landseer was very influential. He later designed the great stone lions at Trafalgar Square in London. His brush could make the whole world believe something. A barrel, it was only ever a beautiful idea. after Barry died. The people of Bern did not want to forget him. They carefully preserved his body in the Natural History Museum in Bern, not far from Geneva. Barry stands there to this day. His white and red coat is kept soft, his eyes look calm, and around his neck, nothing at all. Children who visit always ask the same question: where is his barrel? The museum guide smiles the same smile every time. That barrel was painted, not real, she says. Barry saved more than 40 people with only his nose and his warmth. The children go quiet. Then one will say that is better than any barrel. Much better, the guide agrees. Today, if you stand in Geneva and look up at the white mountains above the city, you are looking toward the Great St. Bernard Pass. Up there, the snow is still falling. The wind is still howling. St. Bernard dogs still live in Switzerland today. Somewhere little barrels of festivals and shows near Geneva. You can meet them yourself someday, but now you know the real story. No barrel was ever part of the rescue, and so Geneva also slowly fell asleep. Good night.